It's the brand new 3D home.
And the ongoing federal shutdown could have an impact on public assistance benefits here in Kern County. And joining us in Studio B this morning to talk more about it, Kern County Human Services Program Director Angela Garcia. Angela, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Truly appreciate it. Okay, let's begin with the potential impact to residents who use these services.
So, Mike, due to the federal shutdown, if it continues to be prolonged, there is a potential for benefits to be impacted for the month of November 2025. That would be benefits regarding the CalWorks program, which is cash assistance, and the CalFresh program, which is the food benefit program.
Now, as of October, that has already gone out.
Correct. So October benefits are secure. So if we have anyone who currently has an application, our department will continue to process those applications to ensure that our community receives the benefits for the month of October that they're entitled to. If there's any ongoing cases that are out there where individuals currently receive benefits, they will get their October benefit if they have not already received it.
Now, the longer it goes on, obviously, the more problems it creates. But as we get closer to November 1st, what has to happen in order to make sure that there's no disruption?
So we are really waiting for additional guidance from our state partner, which includes the California Department of Social Services. So that is our hope. But at this point, as of today, the information that we have so far is the federal shutdown is still being prolonged. So in that event, we would wait for further guidance at that point.
And you were telling me, unfortunately, due to some people are pointing to other federal employees who are getting partial checks and whatnot, partial payments aren't part of the plan right now, correct?
At this point, Mike, based on the guidance we currently have and what we know as of today, which things are fluid day by day, that would be potentially a stoppage of benefits for November 2025 if the federal shutdown would be prolonged. However, we're still waiting additional guidance from our state partner, which is the California Department of Social Services.
And for people who don't understand what CalWorks and SNAP actually does, could you just explain a little bit about what that cash assistance is for?
Yes, so the CalWorks program, or cash assistance as we call it, is for families to help supplement their income. Families may need that to help for their shelter expenses, what have you. And then for the SNAP program, that's the federal name for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program at the federal level. In California, we call it our CalFresh program. So that is a food benefit that is also supplementary benefit to assist individuals to ensure they have food security.
And then once we move into that, you've got existing applications that are already being filled. You have new applications that are coming in. But when you look at them as a whole, once you start distributing these funds, it's just you were saying it's a whole thing. It's not, existing first, then new applications second kind of thing.
Right. So, for example, we currently have some pending applications for the month of October. So those applications will be processed timely with our current processing standards. So there's no change to the program requirements. And so the only thing that potentially could be impacted is once we get to the month of November, those benefits may be potentially stopped if there is a prolonged shutdown. But again, everything is very fluid day by day, so there could be, other direction that we receive tomorrow. So this is what we know as of today.
And then once we get into November, should this continue into the month of November and say end in the first week without doing the what ifs, there's really no clear path forward for how the funds will be distributed if we get into November when it's finally resolved?
So we have not received any direction as of today. But of course, again, things are very fluid, so we work very closely with our state partners, which is the California Department of Social Services, for further guidance on that. So at that point, that is unknown. However, they would provide that direction to all the 58 counties.
And where can people who have received this assistance go to get the latest updates and stuff?
So they can go to our external website, which is for Department of Human Services, which is kcdhs.org. Or they could also visit us on Facebook at Kern County Department of Human Services on Facebook for additional information. Also, they can visit the California Department of Social Services website, which is www.cdss.ca.gov.
Okay, very good. And 211?
And 211. So yes, so thank you for bringing that up, Mike.
I just wanted to make sure.
CAPK, yes. So our partnering community agency, which we work very closely with, is our Community Action Partnership for Kern County. So CAPK is a wonderful partner. So if you need immediate assistance, please visit capk.org.
Angela Garcia, thank you so much for coming in and clearing some of that up. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike.
We'll be right back.
Daytona is the pro's choice for floor jacks and jack stands. Built tough and rigorously tested for fast, efficient lifting and secure support for every job. Daytona, uncompromising quality, exceptional value, only at Harbor Freight.
Trick or treat?
The Truck or Track Super Sale is on now at Victorville Chevrolet, your Silverado Superstore. Get sweet deals all Halloween weekend long. Get 2.9% APR for 72 months on a Silverado. Get a Trax for $19,995. Or lease an Equinox EV for $99 per month. The Truck or Track Super Sale on now at Victorville Chevrolet, your Silverado Superstore. VPChevy.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's continuing deadly attacks across the Gaza Strip despite the ceasefire with Hamas that went into effect October 10th. Gaza health officials say at least 13 Palestinians were killed, 8 others wounded by Israeli fire over the past 24 hours. The killings came as the World Health Organization warned many of the 170,000 Palestinians injured by Israel's assault on Gaza will need rehab care and support for years to come, with some 42,000 facing life-changing injuries. This is Mahmoud al-Nakala, a displaced Palestinian who sought care for his daughter at Gaza City's Al-Daraj clinic, which was repeatedly bombed by Israel.
My wife, mother, and my 2 daughters were killed, and my daughter Dana was seriously injured. Currently, we are at the hospital. There are no treatments or any medical supplies. There are even flies and mosquitoes everywhere.
Wow.
We didn't even have a mattress. We brought it from outside the hospital. There are no blankets or medical supplies.
Dang.
We are suffering greatly.
That's messed up.
Earlier today, Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Israel for talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu amidst reports Netanyahu's preparing to collapse the U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Vance is joining Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, in the talks. In the occupied West Bank, the United Nations Humanitarian Affairs Office says it's documented 71 attacks by Israeli settlers against Palestinians and their property in just 1 week. Among the victims is a 55-year-old woman who was hospitalized with a brain hemorrhage after she was beaten unconscious by a masked Israeli settler wielding a club. Independent journalist Jasper Nathaniel, who filmed Sunday's violence against Palestinian olive farmers in the occupied West Bank village of Turmazaya, compared the Israeli settlers' attack to a lynch mob. Meanwhile, Palestinians have held a funeral for Mohammed al-Halak, a 10-year-old who was fatally shot in the pelvis as he fled Israeli soldiers who raided his village south of Hebron last week. He'd been playing soccer in a schoolyard when Israeli military vehicles approached. A federal appeals court has ruled President Trump can deploy the National Guard to Portland, lifting a lower court's restraining order that had blocked Trump from sending troops to the city. Oregon's Attorney General Dan Rayfield said if the ruling stands, it would give Trump, quote, unilateral power to put Oregon soldiers on our streets with almost no justification, adding, we are on a dangerous path in America, unquote. Meanwhile, a federal judge in Chicago questioned federal immigration authorities Monday about using tear gas against protesters and journalists, violating a previous court order preventing ICE from deploying tear gas against crowds. This comes as another court has denied granting a restraining order to stop Tennessee's Republican Governor Bill Lee from deploying the National Guard in Memphis. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defending the purchase of 2 luxury private jets for herself and other DHS officials, costing more than $170 million in public funds. The U.S. Coast Guard's acquisition of 2 Gulfstream G700 jets comes as the federal government shutdown is in its 21st day, hampering federal nutrition assistance and other public aid for millions of people nationwide. In a statement, Democratic Congressmember Benny Thompson slammed the multi-million-dollar purchase as, quote, blatantly immoral and probably illegal, unquote. This comes as ICE has spent over $70 million more on weapons for its agents since Trump returned to office, a 700% increase. This includes the purchase of explosives, chemical weapons, and guided missile warheads as immigration raids and crackdowns on protesters intensify across the United States. Colombia's government has recalled its ambassador to the United States as tensions rise with the Trump administration over its repeated extrajudicial military strikes on boats in the Caribbean, many off the coast of Venezuela. The U.S. has blown up at least 7 boats in the region, killing over 24 people, as officials claim without evidence the vessels are carrying drugs. Colombian President Gustavo Petro addressed the threats in an exclusive interview Monday with Univision.
The anti-drug policy of the United States is a policy of dominance over Colombia and Latin America. They've killed 1 million Latin Americans, and the demands for cocaine in the United States has not decreased by a single gram, and it's also increasing in Europe. That is called domination, and it's what made Trump so angry. That is why I said he's preparing an invasion of Venezuela, not because of drug trafficking. Those are lies.
In Japan, the former economic security minister, Sanae Takaichi, has made history as the nation's first female prime minister. She is an arch-conservative protege of the late former leader Shinzo Abe, who ran under the slogan Japan First. She holds a revisionist view of Japan's history in World War II and is a regular visitor to the Yasukuni Shrine, where some convicted war criminals are memorialized. Takaichi is a longtime admirer of Britain's first female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. She's consistently opposed legislation that would allow women to keep their maiden names after marriage. She's also opposed to marriage equality. The Trump administration fired 2 federal prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia after they voiced opposition to the criminal case against New York Attorney General Letitia James. That's according to CBS News, which reports the firings of Assistant U.S. Attorneys Kristen Byrd and Elizabeth Busey continue an ongoing purge in the office after Trump forced out his own hand-picked interim U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert for refusing to bring charges against James and former FBI Director James Comey. Trump replaced Siebert with his personal attorney Lindsay Halligan, an insurance lawyer with no prosecutorial experience. On Monday, lawyers for James Comey asked a federal judge to throw out the criminal charges against him, arguing Halligan is unlawfully installed as U.S. attorney, a position that requires Senate confirmation. They also argued Trump's repeated public statements calling for Comey to be jailed show Comey was the victim of a selective prosecution. A former Justice Department lawyer speaking out about illegal orders he received while working under President Trump's hand-picked Assistant U.S. Attorney General Emil Beauvais. Whistleblower Erez Uveni told 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley, Beauvais instructed attorneys at a meeting they may have to consider telling a court F you, though Beauvais used the expletive. The order came as the Trump administration rushed to send a plane full of immigrants to be imprisoned.
Hey, how y'all doing? Come on in, push that like button. I ain't even got started yet. I just decided to be quiet in the beginning of my videos because when I start talking in the beginning, I don't get nobody.
And then after a pause, he also told all attendants, and if some court should issue an order preventing that, we may have to consider telling that court, you.
And when you heard that, you thought what?
Felt like a bomb had gone off. Here is the number 3 official using expletives to tell career attorneys that we may just have to consider disregarding federal court orders.
In a statement, Emil Beauvais called Uveni's claims a, quote, mix of falsehoods and wild distortions of reality, unquote. Beauvais was confirmed by the Senate in July to a lifetime appointment as a federal appeals court judge. President Trump's nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel, Paul Ingrassia, texted a group of Republicans that he has a Nazi streak, adding that the Martin Luther King holiday should be, quote, tossed into the 7th circle of hell, unquote.
Yep, it
the
should.
comments were among a slew of racist texts from Ingrassia published by Politico on Monday. Following their publication, Senate Majority Leader John Thune signaled Ingracia's nomination is unlikely to be advanced by a Senate committee at a confirmation hearing scheduled for Thursday. This follows Politico's publication of an image of an American flag altered to include an image of a swastika that was displayed inside the Capitol Hill office of Republican Congressman Dave Taylor. Taylor later disavowed the symbol, claiming his office was targeted
Somebody
as
asked
part of
me,
an
what are you
orchestrated campaign
doing?
against Republicans.
I am
This
making me
all
some
comes
olive
after
oil,
President Trump appeared to use a white
ruby red
nationalist
baby
dog
potatoes.
whistle in a recent speech to military leaders in Quantico, Virginia. Trump
With some
claimed
steak
without
patties.
evidence that under President Biden, immigrants
I'm
murdered
just thinking.
11,000
I'm just thinking more like this. I got some steak patties, and I got some olive oil. Look at that olive oil. Cooking them potatoes, them ruby reds. Cooking them ruby reds. How y'all doing? Push that like button.
The speech was likely written by Trump's anti-immigrant advisor, Stephen Miller. It appears to be a reference to the number 1488, a coded rallying cry for militant white nationalists.
For real?
7 universities have declined to sign a compact to agree to the Trump administration's demands regarding admissions, campus hiring policies, and speech in classrooms in exchange for federal funding. The letter was sent to 9 universities earlier this month. The universities rejecting the compact include University of Arizona, Brown University, Dartmouth College, MIT, the University of Pennsylvania, the University of Southern California, and the University of Virginia.
I was gonna buy my own food to go buy me some
The
food.
University of Texas signaled
But
it
I
was
told
open to
myself,
signing the compact.
I ain't made no money all day. I gotta save me some money.
The East Wing to
So I
begin
decided
building President Trump's
my own.
$250 million gold-gilded ballroom.
Okay.
Demolition comes despite the fact that the National Capital Planning Commission, a federal agency responsible for major renovations to government buildings in Washington, D.C., has not approved the construction work. Last week, Trump held a White House dinner to thank donors from Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and the weapons industry for funding his ballroom.
That's what's
According
up.
to the Wall Street Journal, representatives from Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon.com, and Palantir all
Somebody
attended dinner,
donated me a
with
loaf
some
of bread.
offering as much as $25
I don't even like
million.
this bread, but I'ma eat it anyway.
Democratic Congressman
Because it
Darren
was
Silver
donated.
wrote on social
And I'm
media,
hungry,
quote,
and I'm trying to save
Trump's
some money.
billionaire ballroom.
And this is some
This is
expensive
a
bread right here.
disgrace.
I
Welcome
bypass
to the
this
second
bread. I usually wouldn't even pick this bread. I tried it one time when I had
Some of the
EBT,
headlines.
and I ain't like
This
it.
is Democracy Now!,
was too soft.
democracynow.org, the War and
It was
Peace
too
Report.
thick
I'm
and too
Amy
soft.
Goodman in New York,
But I
joined
think it
by
make a
Democracy
perfect
Now!'s
toast.
Juan
So we're gonna make
Gonzalez
some
in
garlic
Chicago.
bread with it to
Hi,
see
Juan.
how that garlic toast come out.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our
We'll
listeners
see how
and viewers across the country
I'm
and
gonna
around
judge
the
it
world.
again.
Thanks
I'm
for
gonna judge it
watching
again this
Democracy
time.
Now! on YouTube.
But the last
Subscribe
time
to
I
the
had it,
channel
I didn't
and
really
turn on
like it
notifications
that
to make
much.
sure you never miss
But
a
I ate
video.
the whole
And
loaf.
for more of our audience-supported journalism, go
Don't
to
get it twisted now.
democracynow.org, where you can
Just because I
download
didn't
our
like
news
it
app,
didn't mean
sign
I
up for
ain't
our
eat it.
newsletter, subscribe
Sometimes you
to the
gotta
daily
eat
podcast,
things that you don't
and
like
so much more.
because you gotta survive, you know. But you do it with this country crock right here. Pop this in the oven.
A federal judge in Chicago questioned federal
That's why I don't like it. See, the bread's so soft, you can't even put butter on it.
Tear gas at protesters and journalists despite her previous
Like
court
that.
order. U.S. District Court Judge Sarah
You just
Ellis
wanna
ordered
place
the
the butter
government to
in
preserve
places on this
all
bread.
video evidence of
But
federal
it ain't.
agents
I-
firing tear gas and pepper balls during
I need
protests
to
against
spread
Trump's
it
escalating immigration
because
crackdown in the
I gotta
Chicago
put it in my
area.
toaster
In
oven.
one of the most dramatic instances, a masked ICE officer was filmed shooting a Chicago pastor in the head with a pepper ball while
Oh.
he prayed outside the Broadview ICE facility.
Oh.
The priest, David Black, is now part of a lawsuit against the Trump administration.
Okay.
Over the weekend, more than
That sound like
a
set up.
250,000 people rallied in Chicago for the No Kings
There we go,
protest.
right
The rally stretched
So you gotta
for
spread
2
this butter
miles.
light on this bread.
Chicago Mayor
In
Brandon
order for you to
Johnson
get it to
called
get
for
on there
general
real good,
strike.
you wanna spread it light.
Trump is using ICE as his private, militarized, occupied
Shut the
force.
fuck up! That is not what the fuck Donald Trump is
The
doing.
only other entities that are funded greater than ICE are the United States military and China's military. But we are saying emphatically clear, we do not want troops in our city. We will not allow
How you got not allowed and they already there?
During this moment, if my ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history
I would
of
never
this
want to
country,
claim
taking it to the
my
corporations
ancestors.
and big corporations,
I just put the
we
wrong
can
damn
do the
seasoning on
same
my
today.
damn.
The No Kings protest came a day after the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to allow the deployment of the National Guard in the Chicago area. Other speakers at Saturday's No Kings protests included Democratic Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, whose district includes Chicago.
Normalize violence. They want to normalize cruelty.
No, the fuck they don't. Why the fuck y'all get on the podium saying that bullshit? This is what they gonna do. That ain't what they doing.
To Donald Trump and all those
It is
criminals.
one goddamn
You will not
political party.
break the city of Chicago ever.
It's already broke, bitch. Shut up.
Congresswoman Delia Ramirez
The
joins
people
us
broke
now
it.
to talk about the immigration crackdown in Chicago, the government shutdown, and more. Why don't we begin with the crackdown and the court hearing yesterday? The judge saying that the immigration officials were breaking rules when it came to shooting protesters and journalists with pepper balls, tear gassing them. Talk about what's happening in your city, Congressmember Ramirez.
Nothing.
Mimi, we are under attack by our own federal government.
Oh my God.
In many cases, I have constituents who tell me that they feel like our city is under siege. And it's not just the city, it's the surrounding suburbs, in some cases 2 hours from the city of Chicago, where they're targeting communities.
They are?
Communities that have been safe.
For real?
Communities that have been thriving.
When?
And in some cases, as
When?
you're walking through some of these neighborhoods,
Yeah.
they look like ghost neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Because people are just not coming out. People are living in daily fear.
That's good.
And Congresswoman, I wanted to ask you about this hearing where Judge Ellis questioned ICE officials about
That's
the
good.
use of body cameras, and they claim that they don't have money for body cameras in Chicago, and she ordered that the Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino be deposed about this.
How could ICE and Homeland Security say they have no money for body cameras? They have $200 million for Kristi Noem to get new jets. It just doesn't make sense. What we're seeing is an agency that has gone rogue, that has been emboldened, and that thinks that they're above the law. In the same vein, they said that they didn't have to follow the judge's order. The Director Pott, who was supposed to come before the judge yesterday, all of a sudden on Friday, immediately returned back to D.C. because they know that what they're doing is illegal.
No, it ain't.
And we
They
have
know
to
what
make
they
sure
doing
that we
is
continue to
American.
organize in the streets. And that's why you keep hearing us say,
It's American.
if you see
How y'all doing?
ICE
Push that like
activity
button.
reported and recorded, because what ICE is stating and what we're seeing in the community, in the streets, is inconsistent.
They lying. They
And
are lying.
What do you say about the enormous mobilization at the community level in neighborhood after neighborhood?
Now look
in
at this
Chicago?
nice,
Have you
healthy
been
meal
surprised by
that I created
Now I know Chicago. I am part of the city, this beautiful
in less than
city,
20
a
minutes.
community of 77 neighborhoods. You know, I said to you, people are
Nice,
living in
beautiful,
fear.
juicy.
And at the same time, our neighbors, our community organizations, our leaders, our organizers are in the streets organizing. They're recording. They have rapid response teams. We're creating human buses to take kids to and from school so that parents don't have to be afraid, as what you've seen already happen when an ICE agent stops and drags a mother out of the car while the child's in the back. So we're doing a lot of organizing. We're winning in the courts because that footage is actually being used during litigation. And
It
we're
is.
changing minds in Congress.
Quit
I have
lying.
colleagues of mine
Quit
who would never
lying.
have talked about defunding ICE.
Your mind
Never
ain't
have talked about
changed.
questioning
Your mind ain't
ICE's
changed at all, lady.
leadership or the day
You sitting there telling these folks that ball mouth ass lies talking about you there to help them and you care and you just on the other side with the rest of the
strong
motherfuckers.
legislation of accountability.
There's only
under
one
agency that now has
political party.
I wanna
It's
talk
only
about
one
the
party,
government
y'all.
shutdown in its
It's
21st
two
day.
machines, but one
As
party.
Trump breaks ground on this, what's expected to be well more than $250 million gold-gilded ballroom, maybe the symbol of the
Ooh, look at that
demolished
garlic
walls
bread.
of the White House is particularly significant at this time.
It
And
came out
furloughed
just
workers
right.
and those that are required to work, essential workers, are not being paid. You
Now look at
have
these olive oil,
constituents I want
ruby
to ask
red
about
potatoes,
yours who could lose
grilled to
their
perfection,
supplemental
in
nutritional
a
assistance
stickless
program,
Rachel
SNAP
Ray
benefits.
pan. Look at
You
that.
can talk
Look at
about
that.
What's the
Look at that.
central
The
debate,
only
in
thing
the
I
midst
put
of
on them
this
potatoes
shutdown? The
was some
Democrats
seasoning
demanding,
and some olive oil.
that
And I
the,
placed them in them potatoes. I let them stay, and I
assistance,
swung them around
continued
and swung them
assistance
around. And look how
the
delicious
ACA,
them motherfuckers
the
came out.
Affordable
Oh my
Care Act
God.
and SNAP continue, and the Republicans saying no. What is going to
I'm the
come of
best
this?
chef on
Explain
YouTube.
in
Nobody
your case,
discovered yet.
who's affected in
Wait
Chicago?
till y'all see this goddamn meal here. Well, you're gonna be like, this
and
nigga
his
here.
puppets,
This
my
nigga
colleagues,
here.
Republicans in Congress, we've made it very
Sometimes
clear.
you gotta be
They
that
want my
nigga.
constituents
If you ain't that
uninsured,
nigga, then
they
you
want
ain't
them
like me.
unhoused,
This
and they
nigga
want
here.
them
How you-
unemployed.
Okay, we're gonna sample one of
All
these
while he is
potatoes.
creating a
Look at this. Look at this
$200
delicious
million
meal that I just created.
project
This is
for
the
the
most
White
healthiest
House.
meal that you can make for
All while
yourself.
Christy Noem continues to spend our taxpayer dollars to build and to be able to purchase $200 million for projects. My constituents right now are asking themselves,
Oh my God.
how could our president hate us so much? How could he be so removed
Steak and
from the
potatoes and
reality
garlic
of
bread.
American people?
I'm gonna
And
put some
while he
A1
brags
sauce
about
on
his
these
golden
motherfuckers.
rooms,
On this steak.
I may not be able to feed my children tomorrow. Because it's the cut in benefits and SNAP benefits. It's people who are not getting paid. Our staff, essential workers,
I noticed a lot of
they have to pay a
times
mortgage on
black
November
people
1st,
don't have
and they
A1
have
sauce
to
that they have.
wonder
They
how
gonna go
we
buy
keep
that
taking in the calls from our constituents,
that
but also figure out
Kroger's
how we pay
steak
our
sauce.
mortgages.
That they like steak
This
sauce.
is the reality and the
Black
world
people
that we're
don't like
currently living in,
A1
and
sauce.
it's despicable. And Amy, here's the worst part of all that. It can change overnight.
Tell you that
Mike
A1 changed
Johnson can
everything.
call us
I'm gonna
into
flip this
session
over because I want
today.
that A1 to be on
He
that
can
one too.
introduce a
I'm gonna put
resolution
some more
that
on the top of
restores
this.
healthcare
Oh
that
my God,
protects
I just.
SNAP benefits, that protects the American people, but he's unwilling to do that. And half of his colleagues are not even in
These
the
potatoes
district.
taste so
They're on
delicious.
vacation all over the world. This shutdown is the clear embodiment of Donald Trump's leadership. Starve and let people die while the billionaires and his cronies enrich themselves.
Oh,
Congresswoman Johnson
and the
other
millionaire
Republicans keep
Democrats
claiming
too. They
that
gonna
the
eat
Democrats
while
are
everybody's starving too. Don't
caused
forget
the
to say
federal
that.
government shutdown because they want to extend health care benefits to undocumented immigrants. What's your
Yep.
response?
That's what they wanted to do.
Well, it's a vicious lie.
No, it ain't.
And they think that the American people are uninformed, that if they keep saying it, that people will believe that. The federal government prohibits us from using federal funds to provide health care for undocumented people.
No, you don't.
It is a vicious between going to the doctor or paying your bills. This is a vicious
How you doing?
lie.
Bon
They
appetit.
know it, and when he's questioned enough, he'll walk it away.
Look at
But
this.
this is a danger that we're living
Look at
in.
this.
You have the people
Look at
in
the seasoning on these
of our
potatoes.
country
Look at him.
spewing vicious lies with no responsibility or accountability.
You know, the Republican Senator Tuberville was just interviewed and said, you know, the way they're going to pay, they've made a carve out to pay military members during this shutdown. And he was asked, should they pay furloughed workers? And he said, then we wouldn't have any leverage, right? That puts pressure to end this shutdown if the workers aren't being paid. But I was wondering, with Speaker Johnson not allowing you to come back to reconvene the House of Representatives, should Congress members, should the House of Representatives members be paid?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, right? And look, some of us would tell you that we are working every single day. Some of us are working 70, 80 hours a week, demanding to reopen the government. We came in as working class, a few of us, unlike the majority of members of Congress. And we demand that we reopen the government and that we pay our employees, that we protect SNAP benefits. This idea that, you go ahead and cut. Yes, I understand how people feel about members of Congress. No one should feel bad for us as your members of Congress. But it is the responsibility of Johnson, one of the wealthiest members of Congress, to do his job, bring us back and protect benefits, protect health care, and make sure that whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, that we're doing everything we can to protect the American people.
And I was wondering about, well, you can't say yet Congressmember Grijalva, because the House Speaker has refused to seat her in an unprecedented move by keeping the House from convening. The Arizona Congresswoman-elect, who represents Tucson, represents 700,000 people, do not have representation right now. What kind of internal discussion is going on? So many saying it's because she would become the final vote needed to demand the release of the Epstein files, this devastating book coming out today by the late Virginia Giuffre called Nobody's Girl, talking about Epstein. It seems like Trump is ramping everything up to deflect attention from this.
No, it's true. Johnson prefers that people go homeless and are starved to death in this country than bringing us back, reopening the government, but even more so, allowing Adelita to represent her people, her community, her constituents, and become that 218 signature. Just think about that. The protection of pedophiles is above the protection of the children of this country. That is who Speaker Johnson is protecting. Pedophiles. He's denying Arizona 7 from having representation so he can continue to cover up what we all know is in those files. It's despicable, Amy. And it is why you saw people in Chicago come out. People said, no one's going to want to come out in Chicago. They're living in fear. ICE is all over the city. They're not going to come out. 250,000 people came to Grand Park, but thousands came out throughout the surrounding suburbs saying, enough is enough. We will not allow a wannabe king, but a pedophile in many cases, to continue to dismantle our democracy and to continue to be covered up by a speaker and a Senate leader who care more about a pedophile than the American people.
Congresswoman, we only have a few seconds, but I wanted to ask you about another topic, the continued Israeli attack on Gaza. We finally have a ceasefire now, but what is your sense of what the days ahead hold in terms of reaching some more lasting peace in the Middle East?
We know who Donald Trump is. He's a wannabe king, and we know who Bibi Netanyahu is, the war criminal. I don't trust them to actually, in fact, implement and protect a ceasefire. You are already seeing the impact right now. This is why Block the Bombs, my bill is so important. Some people have said that we don't need that bill anymore. We need congressional oversight more than ever because we can't trust Donald Trump to actually ensure a ceasefire to continue to be in effect. We've already seen in the last week what has happened. We have to make sure that we are blocking these bombs from being authorized and released to Bibi Netanyahu, and we have to continue to assert our congressional oversight if in fact we're truly committed to a ceasefire.
Congressmember Delia Ramirez, want to thank you for joining us, Democrat representing Chicago, from Illinois, the first Latina Congresswoman to represent Chicago. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more. Destruction of Palestine is breaking the world. That's the headline of a new piece in The Guardian by the scholar Mustafa Bayoumi. It opens with a description of our first guest today. Quote, Serene Haddad is a bright young woman. At 20 years old, she just finished a 4-year degree in psychology at Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, in only 3 years, earning the highest honors along the way. Yet despite her accomplishments, she still can't graduate. Her diploma is being withheld by the university, not because I didn't complete the requirements, she told me, Bayoumi writes, but because I stood up for Palestinian life, unquote. In May, VCU announced Serene would not receive her diploma because of her participation in a peaceful memorial this past April that commemorated the violent police arrests at their student encampment for Palestine the previous April in 2024. Police told the roughly 50 students they were trespassing and breaking campus policy when they refused to move to a designated area for free speech. Serene was an active member of the VCU chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine. She's a Palestinian American who's lost more than 200 members of her extended family in Israel's war on Gaza. The group's actions have been repeatedly targeted and repressed by the VCU administration, including banning the use of sidewalk chalk to write messages on campus. The Muslim Public Affairs Council and others have called on VCU to immediately release the degrees of Serene and another student. Serene's father is Palestinian-American Dr. Tariq Haddad, a cardiologist and a member of the Virginia Coalition for Human Rights. He grew up in Gaza. Last year, he refused to meet with then Secretary of State Antony Blinken over the Biden administration's support of Israel's assault on Gaza. We spoke to him about that on Democracy Now! In February. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, yesterday, Serene had a hearing before the VCU Student Conduct Board to determine whether she'll receive her diploma. She and her father join us now from Falls Church, Virginia. Dr. Tariq Haddad is a cardiologist and a member of the Virginia Coalition for Human Rights, and Serene Haddad just came from her hearing at Virginia Commonwealth University. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! First, the last time we spoke with you, Dr. Tariq Haddad, you lost more than 100 members of your family. That was just months ago, a half a year ago. That number is now doubled to over 200. Our condolences to both of you. Also,
Thank you. It's
go ahead.
It's been a nightmare. Sorry, I apologize.
And also our condolences on the death of your dad in the United States just a few weeks ago, and your grandfather, Serene.
Thank you.
So, you've both been through an enormous amount. Serene, as you were having your hearing yesterday at Virginia Commonwealth, you're the star student in psychology, supposed to be graduating in 3 years. All the figures were coming out of Gaza, the numbers of 1,000 killed by Israeli forces since May, 1,000 Palestinians, and something like 100 Palestinians starving to death. And I'm wondering your thoughts first on what happened yesterday and what you told the board who's investigating it.
Yeah, I think that in general, a lot of the VCU policies were created and fabricated in response to the Palestinian protests. I think that the policies that are made, they're not about policy, it's not about procedure, it's about repression, and it's very clear, specifically when, in response to the SJPs every single Wednesday, we would use sidewalk chalk to chalk messages like Free Palestine or VCU is complicit in genocide. VCU then responded months later by banning the use of sidewalk chalk in many areas across the campus, and one of the only areas they allow sidewalk chalk is actually this small area that's hidden in near 3 different dumpsters. So I think that the way the hearing went yesterday, we're going to find out what decision that VCU makes and what the Student Conduct Board ends up making. I advocated and I pled my case. Thankfully, I had representation from Palestine Legal and had a great support system. There was an action letter that went out that had over 5,400 signatures on it. And I think at the end of the day, whatever VCU decides, I have made peace with the fact that I don't need a university who is materially invested in a genocide's approval about whether I deserve my degree or not. And I think that I can understand that I am on the right side of history, and I don't need a university to tell me that.
But you did go to school and paid for that schooling for 3 years. Dr. Haddad, how did you feel when you heard your daughter, who worked so hard through her college career, was not going to get her diploma? And did this mean you didn't get to walk this year?
So I did get to walk across the stage. I just didn't get a diploma, although everyone else did. And I walked on May 10th, and I received the notice that I wasn't going to be getting my diploma and degree on May 7th, so just 3 days prior to my graduation.
Dr. Haddad, how did you feel?
Yeah, so I think mixed emotions. You know, what I would say is, obviously no parent wants to see their child having their degree inappropriately withheld, but I was also very proud. You know, and what I mean by that is I've always, you know, every parent wants their children to care about something more than themselves. To advocate for something more than themselves, to believe in the goodness of people, and to try to always try to do what you can to make the world around them better. And there's no better example of that than advocating for the rights of
How y'all doing?
Palestinians for the past 75 years. Since they were children, we've always advocated for that. You care about something more than yourself. Make the world a better place. And just have an impact on people. And she's shown that, and she's made us incredibly proud. You know, the fact that she has integrity, that she's not just being silent and doing what's necessarily best for her, but doing what's best for all of her family in Gaza who are starving, who are dying, who are malnourished. And it just shows the utter humanity that my daughter has.
Dr. Haddad, in fact, what are you hearing from your family back in Gaza? You grew up there. Talk about, 200 members of your extended family. Talk about some of their stories that you have lost.
Yeah, I mean, you know, most people, they have photo albums of their living relatives. The sad reality is I have a photo album of all my dead relatives, and it doesn't even fit a full photo album. It's as you said, it's over 200 family members on both sides of my family. My mother's family is mostly from Khan Yunis, and my father's is from Gaza City, and so they've had it on both ends. You know, early on, I mean, some of the stories that come to mind, you know, when my relatives died on her wedding, was killed on her wedding day. I've had, you know, entire generations of family, the grandparents, the parents, the children, all killed.
Y'all don't want to hear this shit.
In one military strike.
Y'all ain't nothing.
You know.
All right, God bless y'all.
A relative who was killed, a cousin who was killed while she was pregnant.